What's rockin' Rock Nation, and welcome back to Season Pass. I'm Connor Fuxa.
I'm Brandon McVay.
And I'm Bronwyn Liber.
Let's get right into last week's recap. So we first off saw Rock Hill face Justin Northwest, and we saw to start the game, our defense get a big 3-and-out stop, which is what you want to see to start the game. But then we come down to the offense side, and the first pass of the game was a pick six.
Yeah, but seeing Kevin Sperry as our QB and only being a sophomore in his first varsity game at the 6A level at that, you can't expect a ton. Plus, take Brett Favre, for example. Literally an NFL Hall of Famer. In his first ever NFL game, threw a pick six just like Kevin, and he rebounded from that quickly, which I really think we're going to see from Kevin this season.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with a young quarterback is seeing how they come over that adversity and how they come back from a big play like that. And Kevin handled it well. He came back next drive, and already going into the rest of the game, you see him gain his confidence back and get his arm back.
And then with that pass, the 43-yard pass to Keone as well.
And with that, the end of the first quarter read a score of 17-0 Northwest.
Yes, but then we finally got to see at the beginning of the second quarter the potential I think this offense has for Rock Hill. We see, like you mentioned earlier, Kevin hit that 43-yard pass to Keone Morrison. Then he found him again on that drive and then found Matt Wagner for a touchdown. And I think that drive embodies what this offense could be. It was great all around. There was a few run plays, but then the passing offense was on point. And that's what this Rock Hill offense needs to repeat this week.
Then going on to the third quarter, we saw, sadly, back-to-back-to-back fumbles by Rock Hill. And that obviously led to the kind of downfall of the game, because I feel like that first half we were just one possession away, one score away of just being in that game. But that led to the defense being tired, and it led to the score being 44-7, which kind of saw the end of the game. Which then in the fourth quarter, we saw another nice long drive by the back of Victor Chianuma, who really carried that drive, which showed kind of the new running back we have now. It's not Donovan where he's not downhill, he'll run through you. Victor's more of he'll get around you. He's quick and is willing to work.
I think the biggest thing for that was the production and the improvement we saw in the offensive line. In the first quarter, it kind of seemed like Kevin was having to run around for his life while the offensive line was struggling a little bit. But throughout the game, we saw them get better and better. And in that fourth quarter, they were creating huge holes for Victor to run through to get that run game started.
Well, I think that's something we're definitely going to have to see in these future games this fall season is our O-line step it up so Kevin can have that kind of time to get the ball down the field. He's definitely more of a throwing QB, and the fact that he didn't really have time to do that is kind of what also led to the downfall of this. And like Brandon said, the defense getting tired out from the back-to-back turnovers, it just wasn't a good mix.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we need to talk about is those turnovers. We had 5-6 turnovers in this game, and most of them were fumbles. We had the pick six, but then we had Kevin fumble twice, and then we had 2 fumbles on kickoff returns, and even our punter, the snap was messed up, and we couldn't even get the punt off. And so it felt hard to get any momentum going. When you keep turning over the ball, you can't get any momentum going offensively, and then like y'all are saying, defensively, our defense is just getting tired. You can't expect them to be out there for 75% of the game and them not be giving up points, especially with the field position they were put in, with the majority of the time, Northwest getting the ball on our side of the field.
And especially with the lot of talent that we see that we have. Last year we lost, or this year we lost a lot of seniors from last year with obviously Brenner and Luke, but you can see that with even a sophomore QB, he has that strong arm. He doesn't need to play baseball or whatever. He has that strong arm. He can throw it downfield, and we have that deep threat like Luke Knight and Keone Morrison. As we saw, he got the 43-yard pass and was looking all game to go downfield and make that catch.
I think that we now need to look forward to this next week. Tonight we are playing Timber Creek at home, and I think looking at Timber Creek's last week, they had a 48-25 win against Lamar, but Lamar is known to not be one of the greatest opponents, so there's definitely potential and holes that Rock Hill can attack in this game.
I think something we need to tie it back to is the fact that they had 4 sacks in their last game. Meanwhile, we were only able to get 1. We have got to step up, like I said earlier, our own line and give Kevin that time to get the ball down the field, whether that's running or throwing. We cannot, there's no way to win a game while getting 4 sacks. It's just not plausible, and they need to keep working on the defense, which I think we've seen them do a lot this week.
And talking about that turnovers also, we didn't force any turnovers, so I think just being able to, turnovers is a thing that just comes. Normally it's a mistake by the other team, but if we were able to force turnovers, maybe turnover momentum, that it would be a big factor in winning this game.
And I think a big thing we need to look at is also watching out for the big plays on both sides of the ball. Last week, while Timber Creek gave up 2 45-plus yard plays, which is something that our offense can attack, they also scored 2 50-plus yard touchdowns. So it's going to be something our defense needs to watch out over the top, make sure you're not getting beat deep, because we can't be having these one-play touchdowns, because just like our defense got tired last week, if our defense is giving up one-play touchdowns, our offense is going to get tired this week.
One thing also that we saw last week that was surprising is a lot of our secondary, we were playing aggressive. Going up from making that jump from 5A to 6A, obviously, like, it's a big jump, especially in physicality. We saw like people like Ty Townsend being physical out there. And one play did result in a penalty, but it was being physical, willing to attack that ball.
It's like what Connor said earlier. It's the promise that it's a possibility to be there. We see the sparks, and I think we just need to keep interacting on those and get them to play like that the whole game.
And I mean, the biggest thing that's going to grow this team, and we haven't talked about yet, is the coaching staff. Last year, we had a completely different coaching staff. This year, we're coming in with 11 new coaches and a new head coach. It's going to take some adjusting over time. We saw towards the end of the game, the adjustments get a lot better. And so I think if we can continue that game plan into this week, it will look a lot better on the scoreboard for our Rock Hill.
Which one person you cannot forget about is their SMU commit wide receiver.
I think another name you have to talk about is Anderson Lewis, their quarterback. He did throw for 265 yards on 13 for 17 attempts. So he is very accurate, and he has an arm. So it's going to be something our secondary has to watch out for. But I think now it's time for us to get into our pick-em. Where every week we're going to do a pick-em, a few things, and keep track of it over the season. So I think the first thing we have to look at is, do y'all think Kevin Sperry will throw for over 175 yards?
I think he will. He threw for about around 150, I'm pretty sure, last game. And I think with Keani and then with Matt, with the big body in the middle of the field, I think he easily gets those yards and surpasses 175.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree, and I think Kevin will reach that mark and surpass it this week, especially last week being his first week. Again, a lot talking about like the offense with the turnovers. There won't be turnovers, so he'll get more chances to pass. But as well as we're talking about with the big plays, he hits those big passes, his numbers skyrocket.
And I'll have to put the 3-0 on that because I also agree. Like you said, Brandon, he was already so close this past game, getting around 150. And honestly, we didn't even see him throw that much. So the fact that he was so close when we were having to run the ball a lot, and we know that they're trying to strengthen all their defensive and their O-line all that, I think it will really give him a lot more time to get the ball up the field and have those long passes to easily get over 175.
Now, I think the final question we have to look at is just overall, who do you think will be the MVP for our team that you think is going to lead us this week?
I'm actually going to go a name that we haven't said yet. I'm going to go with Noah Richards. He had 11 tackles last week, and I think him as an edge rusher, he was getting in there. He was being aggressive. He was moving around, especially since we had a 3-line front. He was still getting in there. I think he builds on that game from last week and proceeds to still get in the backfield and still rack up some tackles.
I think Noah Richards really proved himself last week. I think a lot of people were expecting Jonah Bowman or someone else to lead the team in tackles, but he stepped up. But I think I'm going to have to go with Matt Wagner. I just really like this matchup this week, and I really like what he's going to be able to do. We saw him get a touchdown last week, the only receiving touchdown, and he had 4 for 48 yards. So he is consistent. He's going to get those quick 10, 15-yard routes, and then he'll probably get a touchdown this week, which I think will lead him to the MVP.
For my personal choice, despite being number 2 on the field, I'm going to have to go with Victor as my number 1 pick, leading the team in rushing yards and also beating out the other team, Timber Creek, in how many yards they rushed. I think he's really going to show out. Yes, he's newer to this kind of level, but so is most of our team. Like you said earlier, we had so many seniors last year, new coaching staff, new team, new district in general being in 6A, and I think he's really going to continue to step up and prove himself. Plus, he just had his birthday this week, so I think he's going to make it like a birthday special mix-up.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting to see what our Blue Hawks can do tonight. But as for right now, that is all we have for this week's pregame show. I'm Connor Fuxa.
I'm Brandon McVay.
And I'm Bronwyn Liber. Let's go, Blue Hawks.